Hey, Katrina here from Scrappy Horses, and welcome to a Weird Wacky Wonderings. Yes, it's October, that special time of year, so it's time to kind of get into some weird, wacky stuff. So, what's wackier than a puppy on a ball and circuses? So, let's dive into this candy bar wrapper. So, here we are in Design Space, and you can see we have all the pieces we need already imported and up, and I've already gone ahead and selected my patterns for my papers, and these papers are from TaylorMadeCards4U. This is from the Passport to the Circus digital kit. These papers are delightful, and this is just a small preview as to what you're going to see in about a month. On November 1st, I will be releasing a video that will have everything you need for, well, I'm not going to tell you anymore. You'll have to come back on November 1st and see that video. So let's go ahead and get started here, and let me show you the pieces we have. This is actually the size of a Hershey bar, and so you can see that that's going to fit in here quite nicely. And actually, this candy bar wrapper will actually hold 2 Hershey bars, because if you live in the US and you eat Hershey bars, you know they're a very thin candy bar. So actually 2 of them will fit inside this candy wrapper. This candy wrapper actually comes from Digital Delights, and it does not have these score lines. So I went into Shapes, hit Score Line, and as you can see here, it brings up a score line, and you can place those wherever you like. You can make them longer or shorter, and you can place them where you want them. So I went ahead and placed my score lines in. I'm going to move the score line out of the way. I put one here and here and here, here and here, and to get them to lie horizontally, you just simply select them and come up here, and you can rotate it. You would rotate it 90 degrees, so type in a 9 in front of there, and then just click it. And as you can see now, it's horizontal, so you can lay them in this way. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that because we don't need that right now. This bow is from the Cricut library, and it goes with this piece, and what's going to happen is this piece is going to curl around and make a 3-dimensional bow and stick on top of here. And I'm going to show you how to make that later in this video. And then this piece is going to wrap around over the top. Now I'm going to tell you right now how I did that, because my recorder flipped off when I recorded that piece. So what you do is, after you fold this piece over and you glue it onto this piece, okay, that's going to go underneath there, you're going to take this piece, this little piece, and just wrap it around the top. So I'm going to move that to the front right now. All right, so it'll lay on like this. This will go over. Then this edge and this edge roll around to hold those 2 pieces together. And that'll make more sense to you once you see it. Or if you just flip back and look at the picture, you'll understand what I'm talking about. So I think we've seen everything we need to see here, except for this poster with this little puppy. Is he not the cutest? Oh my goodness, he is so adorable. And I can tell you that if you go over to this, if you follow this web address, you will find all of the parts for the Passport to the Circus digital kit. It is just cute, 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 adorable. So you're probably wondering, well, why is this part of the weird wonderings of October. Well, I thought it would fit in because of the fact that it's candy and because, well, a puppy walking on a ball dressed up in circus clothes is a little weird. And some people find the circus very weird and find clowns weird and that kind of thing. So, with no further ado, now that you know what I've cut in Design Space, let's continue to the craft desk. This red and white striped paper is from TaylorMadeCards4U, and it is part of the Passport to the Circus digital kit. I took a strip and cut it from a sheet that I had printed, and now I'm coming in and I am inking around all of the pieces just to cover up the white cores. I'm using a champagne color from Close to My Heart. I'm sure it's retired by now, just to give it a more vintage look. Now I'm going ahead and inking up the back of the bow because when we curl this bow around, the back will show just slightly. I'm bringing in a scoreboard here. And I'm going to go ahead and score over some of the score lines. Even though my Cricut put the score lines in, sometimes it's a little easier to get a crisp fold if I come in with the scoreboard and I just go over those again. So that's all I'm doing here. You'll also notice that for some reason, this particular pattern on this wrapper did not cut the tabs at the bottom, and I'm going to show you that I just did that manually with a pair of scissors once I marked them in with my scores. You'll also notice that on the 6-inch line, I actually went over that with a black pencil on my scoreboard. I do that just so I can see the 6 at the top and know where it is at the bottom, and when I do scores, sometimes that just makes it visually easier for me. Here I'm just coming in and burnishing those in so they're nice and crisp and makes for a really nice, easy fold. These are the pieces that didn't get cut. So I'm going to just bring in a small pair of scissors and I'm just going to come in and cut those free. Then when they swing around, they'll come in like little tabs, and I'm going to show you that here in just a minute once I get the second one cut. So there we go. We pull the tabs in and you can see then how it works. This little box is just going to fold right up then. Now that I have all of the folds in place, I'm going to come back with that champagne colored ink and just go over all my creases. Again, it just gives it a really vintage look. Now it's time to bring in some double-sided tape, and I just use that little clear stamping block to sort of burnish that down, and then I can rip against it. Makes it easy to get off. I'm going to go ahead and place it on all the little tabs that are going to go underneath, and then once I have that in place, I'll peel off the outsides and I'll come in with some glue and go over those. Now, if you watch my videos on a regular basis, you know that I love to use glue over double-sided tape. The reason I do this is because I like the wiggle room. That double-sided tape is very strong, and I love it because it's so strong. However, if I mess up when I'm going to put it in place, then it sticks really quick and I don't have time to readjust, like right there. I got off a tiny bit and I wanted to readjust that, and I could because I had that wiggle room. Here I'm just mitering off the corners a little bit. It makes it easier to get that flap in place. And again, the glue on that flap was very helpful, so I could get that positioned in exactly the way I wanted it. Now I'm just going back over it with a little bit more of my vintage champagne color on the edges. Now it's time to decorate up this little box a little bit, or this candy wrapper. Just coming in with a peacock blue ink, going around a piece of scrap paper that I had. that I thought would match those stars. And I'm going to go ahead and bring our little Wonders of the Circus poster in to put on top of that. I think old vintage circus posters are really cool myself. So I was really loving this particular ensemble from TaylorMadeCards4U. Now there's that little strip that we talked about, and right here I'm not really committing to anything. I'm just sort of measuring this out to decide how I want to do this. I want to make this so that it will slide on and off. I didn't want to adhere it directly to the candy wrapper. And so here I'm just sort of playing with it, getting it adjusted to where it's going to work. And it took me a little while to do that. Again, I used just some ATG tape there. I think it's called crafter's tape. I'm just actually reading it off the label as I sit here watching this, doing the voiceover. So as you can see, I'm just sort of playing around with this, not making any serious commitments yet to how that's going to lay on there. Now I'm leaving room at the top for that little bow that we made, which we're going to get to here in just a little bit right now. So here we are with the bow. Now I'm using a pencil to sort of train my paper to curl. This will give it a nice bow look, and it won't give it a folded look. It'll be more round. So I'm just sort of curling it around a pencil. You can use anything around, a dowel rod, pencil, pen. Any of those things will work. And as you can see now, I'm just curling it around, and I'll just put a little drop of glue, or I think I'm going to use tape. Yes, a little bit of tape there. And just kind of get that stuck down there to the middle. Don't fret if you don't get it perfect. It doesn't matter, because you're going to be covering it up with that little piece, that tiny little rectangle piece that we cut in Design Space. If you think back to the beginning of the video, there it is right there. There's that little rectangle piece, and I'm just curling it around on the pencil also. Again, so it has a more rounded look and not so much of a folded look. I'm going to place that on the front of the bow, and I will also bring in the little back of the bow and place it all together, and you're going to see how I do that here in just a second. So we're placing this around. Now you could place this rectangle over both pieces of the bow, or you could lay it over this part of the bow and then glue this on. Now that's where my recorder shut off. So here's a close-up of that bow so that you can see how the rectangle went around the bow, and then it all went on top of that big piece of the bow. And then I just simply adhered that onto the strip. And that, my chocolate-loving friends, completes this candy wrapper. I hope you had fun today. If you're interested in crafting videos and you enjoy what you saw, please consider subscribing to my channel. Leave me comments, ask me questions. I would love to hear from you. Have a great week, and I'll catch you at the next video.